Hi Virgo Collective, and welcome to your happy birthday reading, your birthday season reading. You don't actually have to be a Virgo sun to benefit from this reading. You could be a Virgo moon, Virgo ascendant, or if you feel in any way drawn to Virgo, wherever Virgo is in your chart, everyone is welcome. So when we go through Virgo season, we're all experiencing Virgo energy, and you can think of it as the birthday of whatever part of your chart that Virgo represents, the annual return of the significance of that energy for you. So yeah, but I know I'm speaking to a lot of Virgos here, or people with prominent Virgo energy, or could be somebody who's watching the reading, a cross watcher for another Virgo. So I am speaking to the Virgo way. Let's call it the way of Virgo. And I've been vibing a lot with your energy lately, actually, even though I'm normally not the most Virgo person. I'm a Gemini with like a couple of Gemini placements, and I usually have a more scattered energy, which is a lot different from the kind of Virgo. The Virgo really masters this resilient energy, you know, that's the energy of keep it on, you know, and of yeah, Virgo really like embodies this kind of the energy of duration, the energy of refinement, but I feel like you're helping me out, Virgo, this Virgo season, so thank you to whoever you are. I'm getting the benefit of your wonderful Virgo energy. Yeah, so without further ado, let's hit the reading. I also want to say this reading is timeless, so it's not just for this time of year or 2024, it's for whenever it reaches you. The reading that we're doing today is a reading involving tarot cards, but we're starting with these plants that I've gathered. Almost the plants here that I've arranged are almost like, you know, kind of like a reading in themselves that we're gonna like draw cards to clarify for. So I've added a little spot in the before we get into the rest of the reading, or I might add the spot at the beginning of the video where you can just like look. I've taken like a little aerial shot of this arrangement I made, and you can look at it and meditate on it. These are plants that I've gathered from near a river. Yeah, and I've looked up their significance, and I'm gonna go through them for you, and we're gonna get some cards to clarify. And I'm getting quite a bit of energy at the like at the outset of the reading, which I'm sure is partially my energy, but I feel that I just also feel that something's coming through that may be significant to someone, and or multiple people, and it's an energy of sadness, grief, but also of resilience, and there's some association with children, possibly with older people, significant older people in your life. And I do think that is a Virgo energy in itself. It is like, Virgo is like maiden crone energy. We often think of Cancer in terms of like the tripartite female energy, feminine energy, let's say, that's associated with the three phases of the moon. You know, so you have the new moon, we're in the Virgo full moon, or new moon, sorry. So that's where we are as well, which is significant. You have the full moon. The new moon is associated with the maiden energy, full moon is associated with the mother, like the Empress Tarot card, and the old moon, or the waning moon, is associated with the older woman or the crone. And maybe that's not PC to say, I think, but I feel like, you know, I think in like magic and all kind of forms of spiritual spirituality, like, you know, like mystical spirituality, let's say, it's acceptable to recognize these phases as a microcosm within all aspects of life. They are contained within all aspects of life. So whether when you're old, you still contain the younger aspects, and when you're young, you contain the older aspects. And yeah, so I'm feeling this energy of almost like protector energy, which is often associated with the older waning moon crone energy. But it's a protector of like children, of something precious, perhaps even something precious within yourself as well. And there's sorrow associated, but there's also sorrow associated with it, but there's also a dedication associated with it. I'm actually getting this I'm getting this little segue about grandparents raising children, and how wonderful grandparents can be for children. I mean, obviously they can maybe not be, it depends on the individual situation and family or whatever, but sometimes if the parent is lacking, the grandparent can raise a child, or can be a refuge for a child. And as an older person, even if you haven't raised your own children, you can be a refuge for people in need, or other people's children. Or if your own children are grown, you can care for them. So that's coming through. Maybe that's significant for somebody. I'm just going to tell you right there, right now, that this is, it's hanging out with my inspirations from this reading and from what I picked up. But I guess the energy, there's no separation between where you're getting this energy. It's all coming through in a wave, you know. I always say the wave breaks at the same time, you know. We're experiencing in different ways, but it sort of breaks simultaneously. So yeah, I'm just gonna admit, like, I was listening to Julia Fox's memoir yesterday, and she did talk about her I think she talked about her grandmother, I'm not sure, but you don't have to listen to Julia Fox's memoir and think about Italian grandmothers to get this. But all of these things could be significant for somebody, so maybe this is significant for someone. And I'm saying it because it's here, it's within what I'm saying. So I'm gonna just like have a look at these the energies of these plants, and this is a long preamble, but I feel like all of this was like maybe useful. I guess it isn't really a preamble, it's just all a reading, you know what I mean? So what I'm getting could be significant to you. Maybe you're the one who needs to hear this. Maybe you're somebody who had that type of relationship with their grandparent, or you know, you are a grandparent, or you're an older person, or there's some transition you're going through into maybe getting older and thinking about your impact somehow. And it doesn't also have to be, you don't have to be a woman, or you don't have to be, you know, identify with feminine energy. You could also be, this could be somebody else if you identify with masculine energy. Like you could be thinking about the woman in your life, the older woman in your life. Or, oh my god, I'm like the worst. I can't even shuffle. Don't even go there. Or you could be finding it somehow, finding this perseverance that maybe seems like more humble and more nurturing than what you've taught to believe represents masculinity, but it really is you, and it really is useful to you, your loved ones, etc. So anyway, once this I will draw a few cards. I'll draw the cards, and then I will meditate. I will read you the notes I have, and I will meditate on how the notes I have on the plants relate to I will reflect on the way the notes I have on the plants reflect on I can't talk. Let's do this weird one in its own here. Associate with the cards. Okay. Hermit in reverse. 5 of Swords. We've got 8 of Swords. Ace of Swords. 2 Pentacles, and we've got here in its own little patch the King of Swords. So yeah, and let's have a look at the plants we've got. So I've also chosen this very like weirdly relaxing music that's almost like too relaxing. It's almost like at odds with some sense of seriousness, but it is what it is, you know. I think it's all useful. It's all the way it must be, the way it should be. So here we have saxifrage. This is a plant that has medicinal properties that can help with asthma, bronchitis. It's anti-inflammatory, and it can help with toothache. Now, I just want to caution as I'm speaking about these plants that you should not just pick these, you know, off a hedgerow and just like ingest them or do anything weird with them. You need to be an experienced healer, or you need to be a doctor or somebody. You need to have knowledge basically when you're working with these plants medicinally. So please don't just launch into making teas out of them and things, because like some of them may be toxic, and their properties may only be beneficial if they've been prepared in the proper way. Yeah, so that the properties asthma, bronchitis, anti-inflammatory, toothache, which is interesting because I was thinking about teeth earlier. I was thinking about teeth, the teeth of an animal, getting your teeth into something, getting stuck into something in a way where you're really concentrating on that thing. I was also thinking about baby teeth and like this transition from a child to an older child, and the way that parents maybe preserve baby teeth. The symbolism of the saxifrage is resilience, overcoming hard conditions, which is interesting. Because it looks like a very delicate plant, you know. And that was a thought I was having earlier. There's something I'm getting where I feel like, Virgo, you're trying to deal with something very, very delicate at the moment. And it's a challenge because you want to deal with it in a straightforward way. But it's extremely delicate, and you want to kind of power through, and you want to get results, and you want to see like an output from your input that's kind of predictable. But it's almost like it's not that the inputs can't predict the outputs, it's that the inputs aren't what you might expect, and the pathways between inputs and outputs are not what you might expect. So there's something there about being flexible in your perseverance. Like, you might think you're gonna you've got it all planned out and you're gonna go forward and with something, and then 2 days later it gets cancelled, and then you have to do it another way or another day. but somehow that other way, that other timing is actually better, but you can't see it right then and there. But your challenge is then to weave through the other things you have going on, and put them in, maybe replace, just to be replacing things and to be adjusting things and weaving them through where you don't where you don't expect it. There's this kind of weird phenomenon I've been noticing as well before this, where I am in the world, and that is that the clouds keep forming these strange, they're almost like portals. They're like holes in the clouds. It's really magical. The clouds are sort of silvery, and then they form these. They're kind of like these high, tall clouds, and they develop these wormholes through the clouds, and it's like there's all these different kind of what it looks like, different little windows and pathways now at the moment opening up that there weren't before, maybe earlier this year. That's the feeling I'm getting. This is maybe more of a I think this is maybe more of a general energy for everybody. So the bay leaf, the properties are anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic. I'm sure there's many other properties, but those are two that I grabbed. The symbolism is wisdom, victory, and nobility. The bay leaf is the bay laurel, so it's the laurel that's worn as a wreath in ancient Rome and Greece. It's a narcotic and stimulant in large amounts, and it was part of Delphic rituals in Greece. There's also the legend of Daphne, who was turned into the laurel tree, who asked her father to turn her into a laurel tree to escape Apollo, who's pursuing her aggressively. So it's also protective, the bay leaf. Then we have the snowberry, and its properties are disinfectant, laxative, diuretic, fever reducing, and mildly toxic, as I think many of these things are if you consume them, without preparing them, or just, yeah. So, but the symbolism is that it was actually used a lot by people of North America, and it was believed to protect infants from ghosts if woven into their cradles. It's got an association with children because children would pop the berries for fun. I actually remember seeing it a lot as a child, like around this graveyard where I used to play. The North American peoples, the native peoples used to use it as medicine for humans and horses. We have clover, and clover's properties are, it's an antioxidant, it's used for menstrual pains, it's a phytoestrogen, which means it can actually promote the production of estrogen, and it's good for the heart, apparently. One really great benefit of it is it's also a nitrogen fixer. It fixes nitrogen in the soil, which kind of makes the soil more fertile. Cattle love clover. It's a cover crop. People use it on, that means it's used in agriculture to, when the fields are left to not be productive and the soil is left to restore, because it can nurture the soil. So yeah, that's clover, and its symbolism is kind of maybe obvious. It's the 4-leaf clover, faith, hope, luck, and love. Which the 4-leaf clover is actually quite rare. So, and to be in clover is a saying which means that you've really got it made. You're really just like you're living your best life, So we have willow as well, and the properties of willow are that it helps riverbanks maintain their integrity. It helps with water purification. It stops erosion, so yeah, it's water purification. It's an analgesic, anti-inflammatory, and it is the source of aspirin, which is used for a lot of different things, and it's beneficial for heart attack and to help prevent heart attack and stroke. The symbolism of the willow is the weeping willow is associated with sorrow and mourning, but it's also associated with rebirth. It's easy for the plant to regrow if you take a cutting of the plant and you basically plant it in the soil. Or yeah, maybe there's more to it than that, but I really think it's quite easy for the plant to shoot again. It's associated with the moon, and it has a big role in Celtic mythology. And the moon and the goddess Hecate. It's also associated with wisdom and chastity, and but also fertility. And it in Celtic mythology, it's seen as on the border between the spiritual and physical planes, and it lives like almost in the water, half in and out of the water. So anyway, I hope that wasn't too boring. I actually feel that all of these things are like everything I'm saying right now. If you're getting any messages and you're going, yeah, that's something, and you're like, you know, the toothache or the asthma, or just to the more mundane, from the more mundane to the more spiritual or symbolic, then it's for you, you know. So yeah, the cards we have here, we've got the Hermit reversed, which is interesting. I feel like the Hermit is your card, Virgo, very much associated with you. I've got him up right here, or her, them. The Hermit is a solitary figure. Virgos are often seen as solitary. The virgin, the untouched, you know, I know that's terribly un-PC, but you keep yourself apart, but you don't necessarily, you're not necessarily lonely. You can be like a very like productive and like collaborative member of society, but you do try to protect yourself. You're trying to like protect something very important and precious at all times, and that's the work that you're doing, which is never finished because it's precious. And I suppose the nature of something precious is that it has some kind of innate value, and it is, maybe it becomes completion, but its value is beyond the sum of its parts, the work that went into it, you know. So we have the Hermit reversed here. So there's something here about maybe you're natural solitary. You're kind of like what's the word? The energy of keeping on, or you know, shutting out distractions. Something about that may be blocked, and you're not finding that to be helpful, or you're maybe just a little bit lonely in your role or your duties. Like you've been kind of left alone to your duties, even though you didn't really ask for that. You just wanted to get on with the job, you know. Unfortunately, sometimes when people, you know, the loudest people often, you know, whether they have the most talent, or the ones that are listened to, and the ones who are working away quietly, or maybe, you know, just not noticed. And so there's something there with that for you, I feel like. Then there's the Five of Swords and the Page of Cups. And this is so interesting because there's just, I really feel, like I said at the beginning, there's just this sense of like protecting children and or an inner child, an inner fragility. And you've got the Five of Swords, this card of kind of defeat and really just a hard card that's really absolutely the opposite of innocence. In fact, the Five of Swords is about winning at all costs. It's about the ends justify the means. It's about kind of like a dirty fight, basically, fighting dirty. You got that with a beautiful, innocent Page of Cups. It's a hard combination, you know. I don't think that's going to be easy for you, Virgo. And it seems like whatever is going on, it's kind of it's affected your equilibrium there, your ability to just keep on going, like a, you know, they call it like when a bicycle maintains its uprightness as it's moving through the movement, they call that camber. You can't maintain that nice kind of like jaunty movement that you're known for, your jaunty, your cheerful attitude to your work and your life. Something has come for the faith that you feel, and has also maybe made you feel that you're not capable, or that you can't. So we also have this, all these other cards really like confirm this. We have the Eight of Swords here with the Ace of Swords. So you do feel quite stuck, but there's something, there's clarity that's starting to break through. There's the Two of Pentacles here as well. It could be that you just really want to break through with the clarity, but you're actually just, because you're juggling, you cannot make that cut. You cannot make that you can't deal that blow, you know, that just kind of moves things along, and you can't, and you want to, you know, and you're maybe feeling also like you're not really expected to. You're not expected to do something at all blunt, or do something at all powerful, blunt, that might, like, stronger, more decisive, that might upset people with its, not that the Ace of Swords is blunt, it's sharp, it's of the mind, but I mean, it's a beginning, it's not necessarily the whole picture, and it's like somebody is using your perfectionism against you, perhaps, and making you feel like you can't just like begin something or end something, because you're expected to sort of hold things in balance, and you're expected to kind of like just kind of potter away in the background, you know, but you're not feeling that energy right now. But you are patient, and the King of Swords shows that you're patient. With the King of Swords, you've really, you've got some level of, you know, you have some level of authority in the situation, even if people are telling you don't. And you're really, and I'm getting this with the plants, that you're really like, maybe enjoying the research, or the you will always, as a Virgo, you will always enjoy the opportunity to get granular and to sort things, one thing from the other, to sort like truth from, you know, fiction, and, you know, and to sort things into their categories. And you're like, well, you know, if I'm not going to be allowed to, if I'm feeling bad, if I'm feeling down, at least I've got this sort of power to kind of look at things. And you're looking at the big picture as well, which is not necessarily an energy that Virgo can, of course, analyze very, very well. But I think there's something here where what is it? The big picture is becoming accessible to you. But it's slow, and it's kind of also, it's quite gate kept from you. Like, there are things you can't know right now, because the wisdom that we have here in these, that's embodied, is locked into these plants. You know, you're not necessarily going to get their medicinal properties out very easily without a very refined process. I'm thinking also of the bay leaf here, you know, and how the Daphne, you know, was imprisoned herself for her own protection in the tree. You have maybe almost as well put yourself inside some kind of like chamber in where you can transform, you know, like in an alchemical sense. But then there's other things that are inaccessible to you, and it could be in a more negative sense, like people are just holding on to these, even some sort of a bitterness. Yeah. And you could be dealing with bitterness yourself. I think you're dealing with bitterness, but you're dealing with sadness more than you are dealing with bitterness. But you could be dealing with other people who have bitterness. The problem is then with that energy around you, you can't release the sadness, you know. I'm really getting very strongly at the beginning of this energy some kind of sorrow or grief regarding a child, grandparent, or regarding your role as such, or something that was done to you. I also feel as well, as a child, you know, that you feel you're not able to go back and help that child. But I don't think that's true. I think you can. It's just everything. I always just look at everything kind of very like, you know, intuitively. It's not just the straight meanings. And when I looked at this arrangement, I was like, there's so much green, it's all green. And of course we expect vegetation to be green, but it felt almost oppressive, all of this green. It's like the covers of an old book, you know, the way a lot of old books were bound with this green, these dark green covers, you know. And it's like wisdom is locked in these books, but you're a human person who's got this deep well of feeling and emotion and connection, and it's almost hard for me to even like find that connection. It's like I find it and then I lose it, you know. What about these guys? Did we get to these? I don't know if we did. The blackberries. This is so interesting. So the missing link, I didn't actually like get the info for this plant, but it's a hypericum, which is St. John's wort. St. John's wort is one of the most effective like over-the-counter herbal treatments for depression. I'm looking it up, and I looked it up, and I was seeing that it's associated with rebirth, cheerfulness. So it's like we're just missing that. There's some kind of real seriousness in this reading, and we're just missing this, and the blackberries, you know, as well. Something there. With the willow, you know, we see mourning, but we also see rebirth. We have the clover as well, you know. Clover represents good luck. There could be just like a lack of belief, a lack of faith that like things and things that kind of happen just like in a lucky way rather than in a way that is something you've worked towards. Perhaps there's almost like a sense that you've a little bit too omniscient of yourselves, Virgo. You know, you're so capable. Sometimes the most competent people, you're just too competent. They get they're so competent that they just get shitty jobs, like, let's be real. But yeah, I think there's something here. You're working through something incredibly deep. With this green, I feel this, like the heaviness, like heaviness of that green. I do feel though, Virgo, like that you're prepared in some way. Like you're I feel like you're very much always prepared for like that underworld trip, like that dark night of the restless soul that the rest of us make, often with like no supplies. And it's like, Virgo, you know, you, when you go on a trip or something, you've got all these supplies with you. Um, you've done the research and so on. You're not going into this, whatever is difficult for you, you're not going into it without being prepared. Um, you've done the work, and you might want to stop beating yourself up. And things may not be as difficult as you think they are, because you've got protection. You've got this, and it's centered here. It's the central thing here. It's like your heart, you know. The blackberries, but the flowers are yellow. The flower, the St. John's wort flowers are yellow. I'm just gonna get like another card or two here just to get some advice for you and to close out the reading. So we've got Six of Pentacles. We've got, I'm going to say this is the Nine of Cups that's reversed here because of the way it came out. A lot of reverse cards in this deck. I just ended up. And we've got the Ace of Pentacles. And let's get one more. We've got the Five of Cups. Okay, we'll get one more. And the Sun reversed. Okay. So we're still gloomy here in a way, but I really feel like there's something very positive here. There's the Six of Pentacles. That's the card of like give and take, but it can also be the card of like unequal, imbalanced situations. There's a Nine of Cups reversed. There's something about a desire that's blocked or unfulfilled here. We've got the Ace of Pentacles, and this, I want you to see this card here. This is a wonderful card. That those hands are just kind of lifting up that coin like it's a trophy, a cup, or like a, you know, the Olympics, like you just won gold, you know. It's victory there, I feel. And it is a beginning, but it's also just this victorious feeling of some kind of return. I feel like almost like you haven't been feeling this usual level of, you're very good at manifesting normally, Virgo, in the material world. It's like you've got really good road holding ability. Your grip on things is like extremely firm. But that's almost gone away. You felt like more of a sorrowful version of yourself. There's something about the child here. I don't know what that is. But it could be just that you've kind of gone into a realm, like you've wandered, because you do wander, Virgo. You might not think that you do, but I think that you do. Even though you think that you're kind of going at this predictable pace in this clip where you have your I know this is totally like cliche Virgo, but like you're striking things off your to-do list. You know, you're working through things at this pace that you've kind of agreed upon with yourself. I feel like you do still wonder. You refine things and you get deep into analysis. And something, as the inputs outputs metaphor I started at the beginning, it's like something that you put some input into comes out in a different way. A certain input, it comes out in a way that you didn't expect, but you follow that. You're very faithful, like the Hermit. You have such an amount of faith. That's what allows you to wander. Not everybody can go where you go because you've got this faith. You've got this. It's like you know, you're the person who'd be a really good guide for somebody who's like having a psychedelic trip and needs like a guide, like a grounding guide there. But you can be that for yourself too, you know. And then we've got the Five of Cups and the Sun reversed. So again, it's just like, yeah, you've got your umbrella. It's like rain. It's raining on you only. There's the sun reversed. You're not feeling the sun. You're not feeling the light, the heat, and we have to look at this in a seasonal way as well. Like, we're moving into autumn, you know. Virgo is putting on a raincoat, not just because they need to lighten up and be more positive, but because there's rain coming and Virgo knows it, and Virgo's getting prepared. Virgo is caring for themselves, even though Virgo can be a little grumpy at doing it, or you know, or maybe they're cheerful, but sometimes other people are too happy-go-lucky, and Virgo needs to just get people to put their coat on and their shoes on when it's wet outside, and they need to be the, you know, be the sensible one, I guess, you know. So maybe it isn't that you are as sad as you think, but you could be grieving. I think you're grieving in this, Virgo. But how do you grieve? Because there's a somber energy that you have anyway. Like, not somber, that's not right. It can be very cheerful, but there's a realist energy that you have. So when you grieve, maybe you feel like there's less comfort available to you because you're not showy. You're just not showy, you know. And you're so cheerful at your work, you know, and everybody gets a lot of you just help people, you know. Everybody's getting a helping hand from you, you know. So, but I feel like you're learning to do this in your own way. And there's something here. I think you understand new life. I think you understand rebirth. I think you understand something about loss and tragedy that so much of us do not know. And it could be that, like, it's happened very close to you, really maybe painfully close, perhaps. Or it's happened to you and you've really had been dealt a very, very severe wound as a child. But you know something about this. And it's like, I know that you know it, but I can't grasp it myself. Because I think it's like, maybe it's unique to each person, you know? Maybe it isn't something general. Maybe it's something more specific to you, to each of you. And it's got to do with your work, what you've done in the world. I'm going to just take one more card here. The Hierophant reversed. Okay, another one. Seven of Pentacles reversed. You don't wait, Virgo. That maybe is an Aries association, but you too, I don't know how to put it. Like, when, you know, the whole just do it maxim. I think that's seen as fiery and sporting, and maybe more of an Aries Mars type of association. But Virgo, it doesn't wait for someone to tell them. They don't. Here. Because they know that the doing is the processing. There's such a dedication here. It's not that you don't need teachers. You're so incredibly respectful of knowledge and of its sources and getting to its sources. It's that you, although I think you are you're quite subversive, Virgo. You really are, like, you know, you're the sign of the sarcasm, I feel. You can be some of the most witty and have the most stinging wit of the zodiac, and your ruler is Mercury after all. But you, you are subverting something. You are subverting what has happened. And what's hard is it may have even happened to someone close to you, which is even harder, like someone you couldn't protect, someone innocent perhaps. You are subverting this because you're taking the rules and you're really testing them. That's what I'm getting. Virgo tests things. And it may test things even in with a tiny adjustment, the same things it's done over and over again. It might do a recipe over and over again. And every time it does the recipe, it does something slightly different and it notes that. And that's the way of nature, actually. You know, nature is experimental. And that's how you're experimental, Virgo, you know. And in that experimentation is free will, and dedication and hope, and just this purity, because you really are, you have purity. And it's like the purity is in the earthiness, it is in the impurity of you and your realistic, your very realist point of view, where maybe everyone else is like getting excited about fall fall lattes. I don't know, like pumpkin spice latte, I don't know. And you're just like, okay, we just need to think about the things that we're getting done and whatever. But you also don't wait like other people, you don't languish, you're really in it. You're there, and like when something has happened to you or someone else that shouldn't have happened, that's extremely sad and tragic, and that you're dealing with grief about it, you know how to mourn, because the mourning is a process, because the rebuilding is a process, and because you have that dedication, you can go through it. You really can, like nobody else. You can go through it. Like you can go through to the underworld. You can go to the places where the water meets the land, the liminal places. I'm thinking of hedge witches as well. I've been seeing something about hedge witches, things about hedge witches, and around the hedge witches lives outside the town, but they were very smart, intelligent people who worked with herbs, but they also worked with spirits. Thinking of the ghosts protecting the children, or maybe the ghosts too protect the children, you know? The ancestors protect the children, as much as the living, in a way. Like the spirits of the work that the ancestors have done has prepared, has given us some protection. Yeah, these berries that protect children in their cradles. You're a protector, that's what you are, Virgo, and that's what you're doing. And you're doing that for yourself, and you're doing that for those around you, and maybe even for those who you can't protect anymore, which is a weird concept. Those who have already been hurt, or you've had to let go, maybe family members you've had to let go. Your protection lives on in your dedication and this cause that is your life, which is just to maintain this like faith for the community, on behalf of the community, and this kind of preparedness, this warmth, this common sense, as much as common sense is kind of BS, but you do have the real common sense. But ultimately, in a way, I have to leave you there, because you got to do it alone, because you've got to test what you've got to test and refine within the constraints of time and the impacts of time, the impacts of time that shape any thing that undergoes a process. And that is very abstract, but I'm going to leave you with that, Virgo. There's soul, there's darkness, but there's soul, and there's dedication, and you don't need it to be okay right now. Of all signs, you don't need it to be okay right now for you to keep going, and for you to maintain this experimental, the truth of nature, which is that it's experimental and that there's change. You are innately a part of that process, and you are the divine bringer of spring, I suppose, in a way. Okay, I'll leave you with that, Virgo. Mad respect to you, and all the best to you, whatever you're dealing with, whoever I'm speaking to.